And the Oscar goes to Parasite.
Bong Joon-ho has been making really good films for a long time now. His ability to seamlessly blend tones and genres, combined with his razor-sharp attention to detail in both his filmmaking and his writing, places him, in my mind, as one of the most talented filmmakers working today. Parasite, Joon-ho's most recent film, continues this trend and feels in many ways like the most polished example we've seen so far of everything he brings to the table as a filmmaker. If you need a little refresher, the film tells the story of the Kims, a family in financial ruin living in a semi-basement and struggling to make ends meet. When Ki-woo, the son of the household, is given a tutoring job with a rich family known as the Parks, they seize the opportunity and manipulate the Parks into unknowingly employing all 4 members of the Kim family.
오, 우리 아들. 그럼 이 집이 이게 너의 처갓집이 되는 거네?
From this synopsis, it's easy to assume, as I believe a lot of people initially do, that the parasite in this narrative must be the Kims. However, the wealthy Parks are just as, if not more, parasitic than the Kims or any of the other poor characters portrayed in the film.
사실 가난한 가족이 부잣집으로 스며들어가니까.
But if you look at it the other way, you can say that the rich families, they're also parasites in terms of labor. They can't even wash dishes, they can't drive themselves, so they leech off of the poor family's labor. So both are parasites.
Another aspect of Joon-ho's filmmaking that I appreciate is his unwillingness to mince words when it comes to his often political themes. I've found that many of his films can be boiled down to a central thematic thesis statement, which isn't to say that these films lack nuance, but rather serves as a testament to how thematically concise they are. In the case of Parasite, I think this statement goes something like this. Under capitalism, for one person to be rich, others must be poor, and to climb the ladder of wealth or stay in a position of power, you must actively push or hold others down. The most apparent way in which this idea is presented is in the Kim's relationship with the Parks, who are shown to be a societally ideal family. They're successful, wealthy, and generally friendly. However, as Chung-suk, the mother of the Kim family, states in a very important scene near the middle of the film, they're nice because they're rich.
솔직히 이 돈이 다 나한테 있었어 뭐. 나는 더 착하지. 착해.
그래. 네 엄마 말이 맞아.
The Kims are, from a family perspective, not all that different from the Parks. When they achieve their goal and have some level of comfort in the middle of the film, we get a glimpse of what the Kims are actually like. They mess around, play games, joke with each other, and are quite loving. However, according to the film, this is a luxury. It's difficult to be loving or empathetic when your basic needs are in jeopardy. This idea is expressed again in the same scene when Ki-taek, the father of the Kim family, shows concern for the Park's previous driver, who they framed.
그 친구는 지금 다른 데서 일하고 있겠지? 일자리 구해가지고.
아, 그럼요. 그렇겠죠 뭐. 워낙 젊은 나이고 허우대도 멀쩡하고.
그렇지. 더 좋은 사장한테 갔을 거야.
에이 씨발 진짜!
야, 이게 왜 이래 또?
우리는 우리가 제일 문제잖아. 우리 걱정만 하면 되잖아. 어? 아빠. 아빠.
The Kims aren't bad people. They just exist in a situation where they can't afford to be empathetic.
아이고 나한테 제발 좀!
타이밍 죽인다. 응? 야, 기저귀 깍! 번개 꽈르르!
The second piece in this particular part of Parasite's thematic puzzle is the Kim's relationship with Moon Kwang and her husband Gyun-se. These two characters are in a very similar situation to the Kims. They have no real option to better themselves, and so they set up their life both literally and figuratively underneath the Parks. They collect what little scraps they can, just as the Kims have been attempting to do throughout the film. However, this common ground doesn't result in understanding or cooperation because capitalism inherently necessitates competition in all situations. So, instead of working together or helping each other, they fight for scraps, even though the ones truly holding both parties down are the Parks, who need working class people to uphold their immensely high quality of life without any regard for the lives of their employees. The main sequence through which the film explores these ideas is one of my favorites. Check this out.
나는 전화를 할 수밖에 없어 경찰한테.
언니 제발 불우이웃끼리 이러지 말자 언니야.
난 불이웃 아니야.
Chung-suk is obviously lying here. They're both members of the needy, and the roles in this situation could very easily be reversed. This is why Moon-gwang attempts to call on their commonality by calling Chung-suk sis. But watch what happens just a few moments later when Moon-gwang gains the upper hand in this situation.
어쩐지 윤 기사 갑자기 잘릴 때부터 이상하더라니. 야,
아주머니,
니네 뭐
우리 얘기 좀 해요.
일가족 사기단 뭐 이런 거냐?
저기 동생은 얼어 죽을 아가리 닥쳐 이 개쌍년아.
Now, Chung-suk is trying to do the exact same thing, but because neither family is in a position where they can afford to be empathetic, this just isn't going to get either of them anywhere. With Moon-gwang and her husband now in the position of power, we're given a glimpse at who they actually are. They make jokes and act like a couple. This parallels the earlier scene with the Kims to remind us that if these characters were allowed any status or comfort, they would be normal, loving people. But this, under capitalism, is a luxury which must be earned by pushing others around you down. Parasite's world is dense with subtext, but one of the most important pieces in understanding the film, in my opinion, is the significance of the Scholar's Stone.
저희 할아버지께서 육사 시절부터 이 수석 수집을 쭉 해오셔가지고 지금은 뭐 저희 집 아래층, 위층, 거실, 서재 이 수석들이 꽉 차 있는 상태입니다. 근데 특히 이 돌은 가정의 많은 재물운과 합격운을 몰고 가지면서
이야, 이거 진짜 상징적인 거네.
When the stone is first introduced, Joon-ho clearly intends for us to immediately recognize it as something important, with Ki-woo even explicitly stating how metaphorical it is. However, in the end, the stone's only utility is as a weapon against Ki-woo himself, despite the fact that this particular stone is said to bring material wealth to its owner. This, in a way, is a parody of how symbolism is used in film. Joon-ho himself has expressed this, inquiring, is it still a symbol if a character outright tells you that it is? As a viewer on a first watch, it's easy to believe, or maybe just hope, that the Scholar's Stone will in fact bring material wealth to the Kims, because in a film this seems perfectly plausible. However, the film reminds us that this just isn't how that works in reality. There's no shortcut or secret to improving your life under this sort of society. The stone provides this same false hope to Ki-woo, who also believes it to be metaphorical. Throughout the course of the film, however, we only see him using it as a weapon against other people in his same socioeconomic position. First, he attempts to attack a drunk man urinating in front of the Kim's house, and later he intends to use it as a weapon against Moon-gwang and her husband before it's ultimately used by Gyun-se against him. I believe the stone is intended in this way to represent Ki-woo's hope and yearning for a better life, and how to obtain this goal, he's willing to use his hope to beat those who have none down. This hope in the film is inspired by Min, Ki-woo's privileged college friend, who also gives him the tutoring job which incites the events of the film. The implication here, I believe, is that false hope inspired by the wealthy only serves to create conflict among the poor, and no matter how much the wealthy say so, there's realistically not a very clear defined path for the majority of the working class to actually improve their lives. In a very important scene before the climax of the film, in which Ki-woo and Ki-taek are lying on the floor of a gymnasium, Ki-woo expresses the idea that he can't shake this yearning.
돌은 왜 그렇게 껴안고 있냐?
이거요? 얘가 자꾸 나한테 달라붙는 거예요.
너 좀 자야겠다.
진짜로요. 얘가 자꾸 날 따라와요.
This representation of the way in which Ki-woo irrationally clings to hope for a better life contrasts with Ki-taek's bleak, defeated worldview, which is stated a few moments earlier.
기백이 없으니까 뭐가 잘못될 일도 없고 또 애초부터 아무 계획이 없으니까 뭐가 터져도 다 상관없는 거야. 사람을 죽이건 나라를 팔아먹건 시발 다 상관없다 이 말이지. 알겠어?
This scene brilliantly foreshadows the ending we're about to see. Ki-woo disregards his father's advice and makes a plan to fix everything by killing Gyun-se, but this of course spins completely out of control, just as Ki-taek predicted. Then Ki-taek kills someone, something he said wouldn't matter, and in the end he's right. The murder forces him to take refuge in the basement of the Park house, secretly living off of scraps. However, I don't think this is very different from how he was living his life before. He's now physically trapped beneath the wealthy, but before he was economically trapped below them in much the same way. Now he has to literally scrounge for scraps, but as we saw in the beginning of the film, the Kims were basically forced to scrounge for their basic needs before anyway. So Ki-taek was right, none of this mattered, and no plan or scheme was going to change his position.
계획을 하면 반드시 계획대로 안 되거든 인생이.
This all leads nicely into the final sequence of the film, in which Ki-woo deciphers a Morse code message from his trapped father, describing his life in the basement. Ki-woo then drafts a response, explaining his plan to buy the Park's house. The theoretical ending Ki-woo describes here is heartbreaking, because much like Ki-woo himself, the audience desperately wants this to be the reality of the film, but based on everything that we've seen so far, we know it just can't be true. Plans always spiral out of control, and the Kims are, realistically, trapped. The film confirms this a moment later, when we see Ki-woo sitting alone in the Kims' semi-basement home. In reality, Ki-woo is in an even worse situation than he was at the start of the film. If it really were as easy to improve his life as he describes in his plan, the Kims wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. Ki-woo will most likely never actually see his father again. But even though he no longer has the stone, he still irrationally clings to hope, which will very likely only push him lower. So that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I know I'm pretty late on the Parasite train, but I felt like I still had some stuff to say, so hopefully you got something out of it. I know I haven't uploaded in a really long time, but I promise this channel is not dead. My world has just been flipped a little bit upside down for these last few months, thanks to, you know. But yeah, I appreciate everyone sticking around. There is more coming, like I said. If you do want channel updates to know what I'm going to be uploading, you can check out the Discord down below. There's also a ton of cool people over there. I also do I scream on Twitch. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. So if you're into that kind of thing, you can also check that out. It's in the link below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I promise this channel is not dead. I will see you again very soon. Thanks for watching. How many times have I said thanks for watching? Far too many. Okay, bye!